Hey guys, I'm Ibigandscary. I'm bringing you another StarCraft 2 replay, this time featuring Harrierish in the bottom left corner playing the red Zerg, and in the top right corner we have Sinsecticide. That would be the blue Zerg. So hey, Zerg versus Zerg, some heavy micro play coming out of both players, I'm sure, in the early minutes of the game, and then if they survive to the mid game, late game, we get to see some really cool, maybe Roach Hydra, maybe Ultralisk Mutalisk, or Infestors. It's gonna be fun. I love seeing Zerg versus Zerg that goes to the late game because it so rarely makes it there. Of course, as I say that, one of these guys is going to throw down a tin pool, so there is that. This is on the ladder. I know both players are in diamond, mid diamond, so whatever level of play we're going to see out of them is going to be good. They're going to be good players, and you don't get to the good if you cheese a bunch, which we can see because we've passed the 1 minute 30-second mark, and both players hasn't thrown down a 6 pool, 10 pool, 14 pool, so it's looking good. It's looking promising. Cloud Kingdom is the map we're on. It's got a small ramp, which is really nice for Zerg players because you can position your queens on it to kind of block off the Zergling run by, at least to the main. Natural is a little bit more exposed because you have such a long defensive gap, basically. Yeah, you can throw down some Evo chambers and some spines there, and I've seen it walled off eventually, but it's usually very delayed. Sinsecticide is throwing down his spawning pool, whereas Harrierish is going for a hatchery first. Has another drone going out to scout. His overlord has not quite reached the base yet, so he doesn't know. He's very behind on the spawning pool tech. We see a spawning pool going down just now for him, and the hatchery, so just a little bit of a reverse build. One guy going hatch first, one guy going pool first. Really, in the end, the difference is going to be like one Zergling faster than the other and one drone faster than the other. Not the biggest thing in the world. The drone sees the hatchery, so he knows that if there's any aggression coming out of Sinsecticide, it's going to be late. Gas going down for both players, so they're both going to go for that tech. Zergling speed is a great tech to get one way or another, but what's going to be interesting is the next tech structure that gets built. If it's going to be Roach Warren, if it's going to be a Baneling Nest, if it's going to be another expansion. If you're suicidal, that would be a good choice. 2 Zerglings coming out for Sinsecticide, just for some crowd control. He's not mainlining them by any stretch of the imagination. He's got larva left over. He could afford to produce a lot more, but he's just not saving up for something, and it looks like it's another queen. He's got another 2 queens coming on. Like I said, those queens very, very handy for their ability to block off the ramp and prevent Zergling run-bys. And with him having the map control, he doesn't have to worry about it too much. It's mostly the Harrierish because he's a little bit behind on tech, because that metabolic boost is going to finish first, and on units on the ground. He's going to counter with having 2 queens out for Sinsecticide and 2 queens out for Harrierish, and I believe Sinsecticide has another one on the way. Yeah, he's got a 3rd coming down in the natural. And those queens are awesome just because of their creep spread. Really isn't that important in ZVZ because the creep also benefits your enemies. It's very important to connect your bases with creep, which he's already started doing, and we don't see out of Harrierish yet. But that's because his queens aren't quite up yet, because that spawning pool was rather delayed. But creep spread will connect your bases, allowing you to reinforce those bases very quickly. That's important, but it's not really important to push out with the creep into the common ground, because that just ends up benefiting your enemy, unless you're going to use it mostly for scouting purposes, because it does give you that added warning time to react. Roach Warren coming out for Harrierish, and we can see a Baneling Nest almost finished for Sinsecticide. So that's an interesting choice. Both players going kind of the opposite direction that you can go in that early aggression. These Zerglings probably going to get in position with that speed and morph into some Banelings. No wall to speak of. Like I said, you can throw down some Evo chambers in this area to create kind of a hodgepodge wall, or at least forcing them to take a worse path into the exposed line. The saturation here is actually pretty good for Harrierish. Both players had saturation is pretty much neck and neck. Couple harvesters favoring Harrierish, that queen's going to get caught out of position, is going to go completely down. Not enough Zerglings on the field for Harrierish. And unfortunately, these drones, which were also pulled, are kind of caught out of position and are going to get cut down by the Zerglings. So Harrierish had a little bit of a drone count lead, but now, due to the aggression, due to him not attacking these Zerglings, they're all going to go down. He really should be doing damage with them, but instead he just lets them all go down 28-16, just like that. Large swell of roaches coming out for Harrierish, though. One of them is going to get picked off. Nope, they're just deciding to take down that hatchery. Oh, there they go. So that roach is going to go down, but there's several more roaches streaming in. I think if Sinsecticide chooses to focus this down, he can probably get that hatchery. There it goes. So these roaches, you know, they're excellent choice against the Zerglings, but they're so slow. If these Zerglings decide to get Zerglings or Baneling speed and morph and charge in, they could decimate this probe line again. And you know, Harrierish is really behind already, 10 behind, and in ZVZ that's a huge difference. So if you're a Sinsecticide, you're probably thinking about either doing a tech switch, either taking another third, or doubling down and doing some more aggression. And here comes that tech switch. He's got roaches coming out. He probably wants to do that 3-base roach max. At this point, he can't do it super fast, but I expect him to take this third because he's feeling very confident. He's decimated the probe line. He's taken out that natural. He's in a good shape right now. Evo Chamber researching level 1 missile for the Harrierish. It's going to help with those roaches. Also help if he decides to get anything else out later on. 2 Evo Chambers for Insecticide. It's so hard to remember which Zerg is which Zerg, even though I have it written right in front of me. I have to look almost every time. It's embarrassing. I'm embarrassed, which is why I told you. Be embarrassed with me. Missile and armor for Insecticide. So he's going to have that kind of, that's another benefit that he's going to have. He's going to have a up on the upgrades. He's going to be able to field a much larger army. It looks like he's doubling down on the I guess tech more than anything else. He's not really mainlining drones. He's still making them, but that's normal. He's going for the layer. But he's not taking the expansion, which is what I'd expect. He's kind of stagnating right now. He's not using the position of power that he bought himself by taking this expansion. Even poking in with those Zerglings that he has out on the field would be more beneficial to just sitting there and waiting. He's allowing Harrierish to get up a larger swell of roaches. These guys, if they position right here, can prevent the Zerglings from making it up into the base. And that's, you know, it's scouting like that that is going to get Harrierish back in the game. Insecticide seems a little bit timid. Maybe he thought that since he got that, since he got so far ahead, he could afford to just sit back and relax right now. And it's not the case. He's allowing Harrierish to get back in the game. Taking a third, though, excellent idea. Grabbing that third is great. He's allowing Harrierish to get up that main again, or that natural again, and get started on the infestor pit. Not the best idea, but with his tech switch to roaches, the infestors aren't going to do as much damage as if Insecticide had decided to stay on Zerglings, maybe tech to infestors on his own right. We can see that the 1 range is done and 1 armor is just about to tick off. So it's going to be 1-1 against just 1. Armor's just now started for Harrierish. With the creep slowly working its way down to the third, Harrierish probably thinking about grabbing a third for himself. He'll be exposed when he does that. Maybe that's what Insecticide's waiting for him to grab that third and then get himself exposed. This choke is much more wide than this choke. You can still take down the destructible debris and get in there, but these roaches will be a lot more powerful if they can prevent the surround, because there's still quite a lot of Zerglings thrown in this mix. We can see pathogen glands is coming out for Harrierish. Again, those infestors will be very cost effective. It'll really assist Harrierish to catch up with Insecticide, but Insecticide in his own has an infestor pit coming along. He's got quite a lot of upgrades. He's got the 2-2 coming. He's got Burrow, and he's researching centrifugal hooks, so the Banelings are going to be able to do a run by and make it to a probe line, and once again stunt Harrierish's economy, which has recovered. I mean, it's 48 to 45. He's back in the lead for probes. It's perfectly all right to cut probes in ZVZ as long as you follow it up with some fantastic aggression, and we saw that, but then we didn't see a second wave. What needed to happen was another wave from Insecticide or complete double down on the economy. Once he had that edge, you could have grabbed a third immediately and then just hard-lined drones off of it, and we didn't see that. What we saw was Insecticide get really, really timid and not followed up with anything except for some minor upgrades. And in reality, that just doesn't fly. Those upgrades could have come, delayed by 90 seconds so that the drones could get up in the natural, and then that increased mineral and gas income could have been spent on the upgrades instead. Yeah, the tech would be delayed by a minute and a half, but in reality, the delay would have greatly benefited him, because in reality, both players are pretty much in the exact same place. Both have the Infestor pit up, both have 1-1, and the 2-2 is coming out for Insecticide, and Harrierish is going to be very delayed, but that's pretty much the only difference right now. The army that Harrierish is fielding is significantly smaller than Insecticide, but it doesn't really help Insecticide to have a larger armor if he's not using it. All that is money that could be spent on the drones. So Insecticide's in a very powerful position. He knows that thirds went down. The Overlord is there. Despite all the time he's given Harrierish, the army isn't as intimidating as the one that Insecticide's fielding. If he waits too much longer, that Spire will come up, and those mutas will be able to do some harassment, maybe to knock out some of the probes or drones that Insecticide's fielding. He's got a third, and it's exposed also, and there's no anti-air on the field at all. Hydralisk Den is out, but you don't see many Hydras on the production tab right now. So as this third begins to get saturated, we can actually see that Insecticide has mainlined those drones up in the third finally, but at the same time he's working out for some aggression to deny that third. If Insecticide can succeed in denying this third, he's maxed. He needs to do aggression right now just to keep his advantage, otherwise that money's just going to be piling up, and he's going to get behind. Saturation on that third's a lot better than I expected, I'll be honest. I didn't really notice that he was producing so many drones. There goes 14 for Harrierish. And that's, one of the things about Zerg is that you just hit the D button and you make 30 drones, and they instantly saturate that expansion. Roaches moving out. It looks like they're going to be working their way down into the common ground. I'm not sure. There's no more Overlords down at the main or the third or over by this gap. So it'll be interesting to see which way Insecticide decides to, make his aggression happen. If he's going to choose the narrow choke where his massive army's not going to be as effective, or if he's going to poke down here. Checking out the fourth, which is a great idea. Make sure that Harrierish hasn't grabbed anything there. But again, his army is pushing in just in time to prevent those spines from going up. Fungal growth goes down on just 2 roaches, another one going down on just 1, so that's some wasted energy, but that's a fantastic fungal growth right there. It just shows you how little damage the roaches take from that fungal as opposed to the Zerglings, which died almost instantly. Fungal growths are an excellent idea from Harrierish. Buying time, just giving himself time to get these spines up. Once they go up, Insecticide's probably going to have to pull back, come down here, and take this circuitous pathway so that he can attack them on the side. And I think Harrierish knows that. Harrierish does have a lot of Overlords in the area. You can see the Overlord spread is fantastic from both players. And what that's doing is allowing him to know exactly when they come out. Greater Spire is out, and we could see some Overlords are being morphed on the field. Where is that? Oh, Broodlords, where are you? Oh, yeah, right over the main army. So he's now got 6 Broodlords. Again, another very cost-effective unit as long as they don't stay exposed. Those Broodlords are going to be able to rain down units from the sky, and if they stay behind this Spinecrawler line, then they'll be very protected from the Hydralisks. Hydralisks only work if they can get underneath those Broodlords and actually fire at them. If they're held at bay by the spines, if they're held at bay by the Broodlords, then the damage those Hydralisks are going to be able to do as far as anti-air goes, not going to be very impressive. And you can also see that the number of Hydras is very small compared to the number of supply-heavy roaches. And those roaches really eat up supply. They really eat up army size. And Hydralisks, they cost the same amount of supply, but they do quite a bit more damage per second. And if you have a heavy meat shield of roaches, an even number of roaches and hydras, then the DPS of an army is radically different. Another thing to note is that the 3-3 is up for Harrierish and the 2-2 is up for Sinsecticide. So I had that backwards: 3-3 for Sinsecticide, 2-2 for Harrierish. So when this army clashes, if they clash with approximately the same size army, which is what it is right now, then the benefit is going to be heavily in Sinsecticide's favor. Some fungal growths going down, throwing up the infested Terran to assist with the anti-air, but it looks like all the Hydras have already gone down. These Broodlords are going to be pretty much unscathed from the fungal growth. The Roaches doing a great job at cleaning up everything else that Sinsecticide was fielding. So yeah, these Roaches are hurt, but pretty much none of them went down. We can see that Harrierish is still maxed. Sinsecticide has got 36 roaches on the way, and he's still not maxed. He has a Spire coming up. It's very late. Corruptors would be a great play right now to prevent those Broodlords. But as things stand now, Sinsecticide is going to have to be relying mainly on Hydras. If he had those Corruptors on the field, if he had the ability to produce them, they'd be able to intercept these exposed Broodlords right now, pushing up. Sinsecticide's able to push back with his roaches. These Hydras are going to be able to get underneath those Broodlords. They're in range now, focusing down that first Broodlord, focusing down the second one. You can see how fast they go to work, but now instead of focusing them down, they were dealing damage to the Broodlings, which is not what he needs to happen. He needs to take down those Broodlords. He needs more than just a handful of Hydralisks on the field. 10 Corruptors coming out. That's a great choice. Kind of a lot of Corruptors, but he'll be able to take down all of the Broodlords, especially if their production is continued. We can see the 3-3 is just now finishing for Harrierish, so the benefit that Sinsecticide had is going to be gone. You can see that he's got the 4th up, and he's kept it up, and those Corruptors are finally on the field, so the Broodlords are pretty much going to go down. We can see that Harrierish is going to counter with his own Corruptors. But for now, the aggression out of Harrierish has been stunted. He's going to have to pull back, and he's going to have to give Sinsecticide the 4th that he has earned. That Corruptor is going to be chasing the Broodlord back all the way to the base. They pretty much have the sky right now until more Corruptors pop out. These Roaches kind of mainlining their way up. They ran into some spine crawlers, so they're going to get taken out by the rest of the Roaches. But the air superiority currently goes to Sinsecticide, who's got 10 Corruptors out on the field. A huge swell coming out from Harrierish, so this is going to be quite a battle. But Sinsecticide has some nice infestors positioned if they do some fungal growths. Yeah, there goes a fungal growth right now. So I expect that Sinsecticide is going to be able to clean this up nicely, maintain that air superiority, which is pretty important because those Broodlords are incredibly effective. Greater Spire is coming out for Sinsecticide, so he's going to be able to have those Broodlords out in short order. But we can see that Harrierish has decided to get Hydralisks out on his own. Hydra Roaches, very, very cool play. It's probably my favorite when done properly, when that ratio is perfect. You just see him in action. It's rather elegant. I like it a lot. Both players floating a lot of resources. I would have expected to see a bunch of expansions by now. Both players can afford to take multiple expansions. It looks like Harrierish is going for his 4th down here in the bottom right corner, which is pretty cool because I was just looking there. With that expansion, he'll be able to catch up with the 4th that Sinsecticide's been able to grab in the top left. But these Hydras not being protected by any Roaches at all, the Roaches being able to close the gap and kill them, not the way you want to use Hydras. They're so weak and exposed. With Roaches having better armor, better health, the Hydras are really better off being behind this Roach wall. It's all about positioning with the Roach Hydra. You can see as the Roaches engage the roaches from Insecticide engage the roaches from Harrierish. The Hydras behind them can push in and deal the damage per second that they need to unaccosted by the roaches from Insecticide, and that's when they deal their damage. We saw the radical difference between that first fight and the second one. That's how you want to do it, and this is the perfect formation right here. Roaches in front, Hydras in back. Excellent choice. And with the creep spread that Insecticide's been working on the entire time, the Hydras are going to be able to use that to get underneath any broodlords that might be coming out from Insecticide. A major fight right here. These infestors are getting kind of exposed, throwing down a good fungal growth, holding Harrierish at where it is, but despite the good fungal, it looks like Harrierish is going to be able to take down this fourth. You can see the supplies are definitely falling quickly. Insecticide is very low on his minerals, hasn't really been able to keep up with the base count. His main is almost completely mined out. His natural isn't really mining. He's only got 2 patches, so this third is the only one up, and he doesn't really have an army to defend it. 2 broodlords on the way, but they were going to go down pretty quickly to the handful of Hydras left. Insecticide GG's out of the game. It was a great game. Like I said, I love Roach Hydra play, especially if you throw in a Nidus in there to kind of counter the immobility of the force. That was really cool. Good job, Harrierish, for coming back from the early Zergling aggression, taking out pretty much all your probes in the natural, and a good job, Insecticide, for doing that aggression. I feel like this would have ended completely differently if Insecticide had doubled up on the aggression, but that's the way it goes. It's just one of those things. It's attack when you should defend when you should attack, and expand when you shouldn't do either, and it's difficult sometimes to make that decision. A decision that you guys made today was to watch my movie, and that was a good decision. So if you guys have a comment, you could leave me a comment. If you have a game you want me to cast, you could PM me here or Reddit. One way or another, I will see you guys later. I am Ibigandscary. Bye.